In this video, you can win 1,000 kroners in charging from Elton. More on that later. A few weeks ago, I tested the Volvo EX30 single range extended motor, and because of the poor weather that day, I got pretty disappointing results. So now, it is time for the EX30 to redeem itself, but this time in the twin performance trim. With all-wheel drive and twice the power output, I don't expect this to be any more efficient than the single motor version, but the better weather should work in this car's favor. Today, we are answering the question, how far will Volvo's Pocket Rocket go on a full charge of battery at a constant 120 kph or 75 miles an hour? Back in the Volvo EX30, this time a twin performance, and today we have a lot better conditions than we had with the single motor extended range test I did a few weeks ago. It was raining then, it was really bad weather. Today, dry roads and quite a bit milder, between 7 and 9 degrees Celsius outside, and on our way northward on the E6 motorway. According to the wind map, we do have a slight push of 2 meters per second in this direction. So once we get to our halfway point and check out the consumption and then get back, we'll get a full picture of the weather if we really do have, this push northward now. Talking about consumption, thus far, about 20 minutes on the road now, the average consumption is 24.1 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, which isn't the most efficient, but again, in the beginning of this trip, we are climbing a little bit in elevation, and usually the consumption drops as we get deeper into this test. And also this car, not only being, the twin performance with a dual motor setup, is also different where it has 20-inch wheels compared to the car we tested last time with 19-inch wheels. Though both tire setups, 245 millimeter wide tires, so I don't think that should, impact the consumption too much. And this, being the twin motor, the front motor actually decouples completely with a clutch when the car is in normal driving mode. So I can go into a menu here, and then I can go into settings and then driving. Yes, it's buried deep into a menu. And then I have performance 4-wheel drive. When you press that button, then the front motor is always engaged with that physical clutch, and that means the consumption is also going to be higher. So now the car's just set to, its normal setting. I'm actually running the cabin a lot colder in this car than I did in the other car, where the other car was like 22, 23 degrees for it to be comfortable. I'm running cabin only at 19 degrees Celsius now, which is really curious and interesting. Okay, we are now here at our turnaround point. We're gonna take this exit 76 to Moelv, and then we're gonna turn around here and then head back towards Oslo on the E6 motorway. It's a little bit colder now than it was earlier, 6 degrees Celsius, which is not too bad at all. And we have about an hour before we are back where we started, a little less than an hour. We're gonna, Google Maps there says an hour and 9 minutes, but we're really going to reel that time in. So let's take a look at the consumption. We have to go in here and then to car status and then to trip info, which I really don't like that they buried it so deep into the menu. But after 107 kilometers, we have an average consumption of 21.7 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. You can see this message here popping up as an overlay on the screen, which is it's nice, but I think they could have made it a little bit smaller, and maybe could have been like take up its own real estate, because when that happens you can't press anything else. You have to exit that, and then you have to then you can do whatever you want to do. It would be nice if it would just have its own like section where even though you're doing stuff, you could still do your stuff, and then that message would still be there. But hopefully we're gonna get a software update for this infotainment system, because if you saw my review, guys, this does not have the best infotainment system out there. It is good in many ways, but also in a lot of ways it is very lacking and not fully developed in my opinion. But go check out my review for more details on that. An hour later, and we are now back to our starting point, back to Esso here in Gardermoen. So we're going to take a right here. And then if these are vacant or free, which they are, the Alpatronics chargers over here, we're going to connect to one of these because these can deliver a peak charge speed of 225. This car should take 153. 12% stated charge, which is what we are at currently. And this taxi was charging 2 hours ago when we started this test. That is insane. I have to also stop the timer here. Let's go to my phone. Okay, there we go. And let's back up here. And then we are going to connect to this charger. This ice here came up really quickly. And before we do that, let's hop into the actual trip computer here. There we go. And take a look at the car status and trip info. And 23.5 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers of average consumption. To charge this recharge charger, we are using the Elton charging app, which is a one-in-all charging solution if you live in Norway, Sweden, Finland, or Denmark. It works with almost all charge point operators in all of these countries. So one payment method, one charging interface, and one charging map and app lets you charge at, basically all the charge point operators in all of these countries. And it just added actually UNOX as a charge point operator, so they keep on expanding and expanding. And as I said in the intro, you can actually win 1,000 kroners from Elton at the end of this month if you register down below. So if you have the app, just register with your phone number. If you don't have the app, you actually have to download it. But it is a really cool tool that I've used across Scandinavia and the Nordics for a couple of years now. So with that out of the way, and if you want to support the channel, please go ahead and do that because that does help a lot. So we're now currently at 16% stated charge here. And we are getting a peak of 154 kilowatts, which is right on the money of what this car should deliver. I've actually seen more than that in my long trip test with the single motor extended range I had on loan last week. I actually saw something like 163 kilowatts. So quite impressive. And remember guys, we haven't, preconditioned the battery or anything. Yes, it is getting milder outside, but it's still only about 6 or 7 degrees Celsius outside. So not warm by any stretch of the imagination. So I think that is actually pretty decent charging speed without preconditioning with this car. Now for the results. So if we take the battery pack size of this car, which is 64 kilowatt hours usable, divided by the consumption, 23.5 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, and then subtract 3% in heat loss, that gives us a theoretical range under today's conditions of 264 kilometers, which, to be honest, is lower than what I was hoping for. I think the consumption of this car is just a bit too high, and because of the poor results we got in the last test under really bad conditions, because we had much nicer weather today, much calmer conditions with dry roads, I was hoping for a lot lower consumption than that. And when we were halfway, it was looking promising, but yeah, we actually had a headwind on our way back, which was correct according to the wind map. So 264 kilometers of range in the real world, 57% of its WLTP rated range, is maybe a little bit under par for what to expect when it comes to the temperature outside compared to other cars. Yes, we do see, mid to low 50s in percentage, compared to the WLTP in a lot of electric cars, but that is usually colder conditions than what we had today. So I think there are a few things here that really play into this car not getting the results I was hoping for. So first off, I think 19-inch wheels or maybe even 18-inch wheels is a better choice for this car. Big wheels really don't make a lot of sense unless it's for aesthetics in a small vehicle like this. And also the fact that this is a relatively tall and boxy shape, and it being short really doesn't help with the consumption, because a tall and short car is not good for aerodynamics. It's really strange because we actually live in a world today where the weight of the car plays less, into the consumption than the actual length of a car. So I'm pretty sure if we could have the exact same car, it was like 10, 15, 20 centimeters longer, that would have given it better aerodynamics, a lower drag coefficient, and also lower consumption. We've seen this in cars like the Neo ET7 versus the ET5, where the ET7 actually had lower consumption than the ET5 because it is longer. It's better for aerodynamics, even though that car is heavier and it is a bigger car. So, the results are the results, and it's strange that these small cars have so high consumption. But if this was a more aerodynamic shape, if it was lower, if it has smaller wheels, and if it was longer, I'm pretty sure the results just would have been better. I don't think it's inherently the drivetrain that is any inefficient here. I think it's pretty efficient for what it is. So guys, let me know what you think down below. Are you satisfied with the results, or were you hoping for better results with the EX30 twin performance? So guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please drop me a thumbs up down below. And for more car content, as always, please subscribe. See you guys later and goodbye.